Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, Sir Entrepreneur, and welcome to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. This is the show for, May 31st, Friday, 2024. So if you're just tuning in now, this is the show for that date. And we have a great show for you. Whether you're here now with us or any other time, thank you so much for being here and making the choice to be part of all the great content I provide. You can obviously go to what's on my hat, believemeachieve.com, scan the QR code, check out all the other great piece of information. And during the week, you can definitely follow all of my, I'll call it teasers to the show, where every day I give you a little bit of a short intro to what we're going to be talking about on the show, and hopefully some things that might cause some controversy or cause some room for discussion. And I say that because when we have controversy, it allows us to think. People think controversy is bad, but it's not bad. It actually means that you're able to discern and think. So that's really, really important. Of course, check out Inspirations for Your Life. That's on every single day. I definitely want to check that out as well. You can just go to believemeachieve.com for all that great information. So our topic for this week is Tech Titans and Legal Lightning. Innovations shaping tomorrow. We're on series 3, which means we're in the third year, and we're on show number 22, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe we're on show 22? I cannot believe that we are on show 22. So our first topic I want to talk about is voice actors sue AI firm over voice theft. What the heck is this about? Well, according to Paul Sky Lerman, in 2020, he took a job which he thought was to provide a set of one-off voice samples. Years later, he has found out that his voice was used to narrate a YouTube video and then on a podcast, even though he had never recorded either of them. Apparently, artificial intelligence from Lovo, L-O-V-O, is guilty for allegedly commissioning them for voice projects under false pretenses and in order to create and sell them using AI-generated versions of their voices. So this is a very, 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 very big problem. And I think the issue is going to get worse until it gets better. What do I mean by that? I mean, people are just there to exploit others. I mean, I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but, you know, that's kind of what happens, that people do exploit others. And this is a really, 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 really big problem. And the other person that was also involved on this, her name was, I believe it was Linnea Sage, is also suing as well. So Lerman and Sage are suing Lovo and seeking a class action status suit to include other people whose voices and or identities were stolen and used. And this is according to a complaint that was filed in the Southern District Court of New York. And the complaint was first reported by the New York Times. So the voice actors lawsuit is just the latest in recent strings of legal actions being brought about by tech companies and the misuse of technology. When they were reaching out to Lovo, of course, Lovo did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the lawsuit. Apparently, they are going to have some explaining to do. This is very, very interesting. And the fact that companies are going to do this is just ruthless, and it's below the belt. And the actors are currently seeking more than $5 million in damages, as well as court order blocking Lovo from continuing the alleged use of their voice. I mean, I just can't believe that a company would just ruthlessly do some junk like this. I mean, that just like that's something that bothers me. And if you are wondering the company, well, they're called Lovo, LOVO.ai. And I did a little research on this company. They are actually located in Berkeley, California, and it's something that they did this. And the other thing that's very interesting is when you go to their website, they have a pricing model where you can sign up from $0, $24, $24, $75. So they have all that stuff. When you click on the contact us button, of course, there is no phone number. And they have an offer on the, limited time offer, 50% off select plans. And so Lovo basically allows people to start out creating content for free, but be careful because they might be using that content and selling it. So just be careful with these companies. When we think about things like, higher end quality and stuff like that, then you get to things like, the ability to have 500 plus AI voices in 100 plus languages. And now they're providing you the voices. They have to get this from somewhere, right? And then you get into voice enhancers, and then they have more things getting into 400 gigabytes of storage and collaborating with team members. But I got to tell you, anything that doesn't put their phone number on a website really doesn't sit very well with me. So I think we have to be alert for these things, and definitely my thoughts go out to Lerman and Sage for the ruthless acts that were done by Lovo. So again, because they've acted in such an inappropriate manner, I wouldn't do business with Lovo because this is already telling me the type of character they are. Of course, they have testimonials on their site, but you have to realize that these testimonials could be made up. And again, these people might be happy because they're exploiting others. So I have a real problem with Lovo. It's Lovo.ai in California. But let's move on to some other things. The next thing I want to talk about, because everybody is concerned about saving money and things like that. Well, whether you're riding Uber, whether you're riding Lyft, I don't know if you guys know this, but Lyft and Uber have surge pricing. Now, when I was explaining this to someone the other day, surge pricing takes real-time demand into account, and things like deliveries, other rideshare apps. And surge pricing is closely associated with rideshare service, like I said, like Uber and Lyft. So people say to me, John, what is surge pricing? So it's what I like to say is it's pricing that's predicated around the demand. It could be delivery, it could be, ride share, right? Things like if there aren't enough drivers, if there's rain, if there's snow, maybe there's a concert getting out. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very bad. In fact, Uber is now going to offer cheaper airport shuttles. So what is this whole deal with Uber? I think they're getting the brink of this, and they're kind of tired of it. So this is what's happening. And Uber will soon let riders book a shuttle to the airport. Uber wants to make it cheaper to get a ride to the airport, concerts, or even sporting events. And this new vehicle will handle about 25 people. And the thing I have a question of is this going to make these people employees, or are they going to be contractors and treated just as badly as the other people? So it's called the Uber Shuttle, and customers can reserve a seat up to 7 days in advance for new services on a local shuttle that will hold between 14 now and 55 people. They expanded it, with other riders heading to the same place. The company says, quote unquote, it's a fraction of the price of what an Uber X would cost. So you basically go to the Uber app menu bar. You select, there's an option called free shuttle rides. You can read the details because they want people to start this and obviously use it. I'm hoping that they are going to treat these people a lot better and they're going to be employees. but we're going to have to see. So they said it's going to be easy. And so riders will be able to reserve a seat on a local shuttle service headed to a participating destination. And so far, Uber has yet to release exact venues and hotels and things like that. But they did announce a partnership with Miami's Hard Rock Stadium. So there's definitely more details to come, and we'll keep you abreast of that as it happens. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we see our friends Lyft doing the same thing soon, because we all know what happened with Minneapolis and the other cities. So I think they're trying to figure a way to operate, because operating the way they are right now is probably not making them a lot of money, because eventually we know they're getting sued for a lot of things they're doing. So hopefully maybe they're going to claim some faith. I wouldn't hold my breath to it, but we'll definitely check it out, and we'll see what's going on. And we'll just have to keep an eye on it, because this is something that people were using because they had to, not because they wanted to. All right, guys, and new low energy desalination method. So what is this all about? Yes, it's a new energy desalination method. And so what desalination is it actually takes the salt out of the water. And a new technique is going to use a small amount of electrical energy to pull chloride ions through the membrane toward a positively charged electrode. This will cause the water molecules to push through the same time at the chloride, a bit like a piston. So this is something that they're currently working on. And if you wanted to know a little more about it, it actually got discovered in a lab from the Australian National University. And this is where the method is being proposed from. And they claim that it will reduce energy by about 80%. That's quite a bit. So for those concerning about their world and energy and, the footprint, carbons and stuff like that, it's definitely something we've got to keep our eye on. And, how about buses, ladies and gentlemen? Electric school buses save money, benefit health, and climate. But what's this all about? So there has been a lot of talk that school buses waste energy resources. They contaminate the planet. They hurt humans. So there is a new project to launch electric school buses. And they're hoping from some of the original studies that they're going to yield health, climate benefits, and cost saving just from the initial factors. In fact, they're saying they're replacing diesel school buses with electric school buses may yield, now here's the word may yield, they didn't say guaranteed, may yield up to $247,600 in climate and health benefits per an individual bus. And this was according to a study done by researchers at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. So the question you might be saying is, when will we see electric school buses? Well, I think soon. New York is already starting to transition. Because I'm in New Jersey, you're probably going to ask me, when will New Jersey start doing this? And all I can tell you right now is that dozens of new electric school buses are coming to New Jersey. And this is according to NJ.com. So 11 school districts were awarded a total of $12 million in federal rebates to fund the purchase of 69 school buses. And this was per an official. So the winners of the Clean School Bus Program 2023 rebate were announced recently by the Environmental Protection Agency. And this is according again to the New Jersey Sierra Club. The winners were Brinc Township School District, 25 buses, Burlington County Special Services School District, 10 buses, Toms River District, 10 buses, Jackson Township School District, 5 buses, Haddonfield School District, 4 buses, School in Hunterdon Regional School District, 4 buses, Summit Public School District, 4 buses, Clifton Public School District, 3 buses, Denville Township K through 8 School District, 2 buses, and Beverly City School District, 1 bus, and Reddington Town School District, 1 bus. So you're probably wondering, what does all this mean? Well, it means that we're probably going to be reaching out to these people and, yes, probably bringing them on the show sooner or later, because I think I want to hear firsthand about how this really is working. Is it really doing what we think? And the grants were funded under the President Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, which allocated a total of $5 billion for the purchase of zero-emission and low-emission school buses. So they're saying, and I quote, according to the New Jersey Sierra Club, our children deserve to breathe clean air, and for too long, diesel exhaust pollution has put their health at risk for heart disease, respiratory illness, and even cancer. Don't forget, stop smoking, and remember that too. So the funding is an investment in our students' health and will save districts money in the long term too, since electric school buses have fewer parts, don't need to be fueled by costly diesel, close quote. So to date, between the state and the federal grants, school districts and private school bus contractors have received $78 million. Let me say that number again. $78 million in grants to purchase 243 school buses, the Sierra Club had reported. And there are 21 buses right now in operation, with the remainder in various stages of procurement. So the club added that the application period for a new state competitive grant program to fund a zero-emission school bus closed in mid-May. The DEP received 17 applications for funding under this program, and that's pretty much where we are. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I'm curious to see when this hits, and is it really going to save the district's money? What's the upkeep going to be? Is there going to be any downtime? Any what are the positives, what are the negatives? So we're going to talk to some people firsthand to figure that out, because I am really curious. I love when we have new technology, but I always like to make sure that the technology is not just a push so somebody can just make money. I think it's great that companies are out there to make money, but I think it's important that we have to have an ROI. All right. And there is a new improved lithium batteries via new spectroscopy technique. So this is a really cool thing, guys. How does it work? So spectroscopy technique could accelerate the push for better batteries. It was developed at the Berkeley Lab's Advanced Light Source, and it could help scientists better understand and improve the material required for high-performance lithium-ion batteries that power EVs and other applications, so we can have smarter and safer batteries. So you might be asking me, what is the new spectroscopy technique? So it uses a high-powered laser pulse to push out short-waved, high-temperature plasma. And as the plasma cools, it emits spectral peaks that correspond to elements in the periodic table. So you know what it reminds me of? If you ever think of like, testing your pool water where you have like an agent. So, you have your water, and then you drop like the 5 drops of one, the 5 drops to test the pH and the chlorine. So it's a way of, let's say, being a catalyst to start a converter in what I want to call is an identifier that illuminates. So like, if you have, let's say you have lemon juice, right? So if you write what we all know this, but what will make lemon juice, lemon appear if it's a hidden, let's say a hidden writing or something. So it's pretty easy. You can dip a paintbrush in lemon juice and write a message on paper. And the more lemon juice you use, the darker the message will appear. You leave the paper to the side, wait 15 to 20 minutes for the juice to basically to dry. That's how you make it. How do you reveal the secret writing? Well, most invisible messages can be revealed by heating the paper on which they're written. The ink will weaken the fibers in the paper, so the message discolors, burns before the rest of the paper does. So that's really, really cool. And I've got to tell you that I'm excited to see and hear about this new technique, because anything that we can do to make batteries safer, making them more efficient, I'm on board for it. And don't forget, it's going to hopefully help our world be a safer, more, let's say, sustainable world with energy and the resources. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you guys know this, but Google chooses a judge over a jury in the upcoming case. So you might be asking, why does Google want a judge instead of a jury for their upcoming case? Well, Google argues that the constitutional right to a jury trial does not apply to a civil suit brought by the government. And the right to a jury trial based in the Bill of Rights protects the citizens against the federal government, not the other way around. So Google's lawyers are basically demanding that it be done by a judge. Google has really lost my respect, from the way that they've hired sloppy contractors to their bad attitudes to wasted money and pay per click, and to the fact that they are just this money machine that doesn't really care about you or I. At the end of the day, and this is what I've learned, not just from myself or from many other people, they're just about the money. Now, I get that companies need to be profitable. Don't get me wrong there. It's just that Google, when you don't want to do something their way, they get nasty and they tell you they don't want to help you. And so, so Google wants a judge to decide the merits of the case in Virginia as well. And the company argues in court papers that it's unprecedented for a jury to decide a federal antitrust case brought by the government. It says that this case in particular involves a complicated, intricate technology system, which DOJ, Department of Justice, has acknowledged to this court is highly technical, often abstract, and outside the everyday knowledge of most prospective jurors. So why would a judge be able to be any better? I don't get this. A Department of Justice spokesperson did not immediately give a lot of comment on this, but Google, based in Mountain View, California, makes two more primary arguments for striking the government's demand for a jury trial. Google argues that the constitutional right to a jury trial does not apply to a civil suit brought by the government, like we said, and the right to a jury trial based in the Bill of Rights protects citizens against the federal government, not the other way around. So Google's lawyers are, again, trying to trip this up. Just a little bit of a review on that. So the whole issue I have with this is that Google has not been forthcoming with what they do with their data. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, I don't think Google really cares about your business. I can tell you they didn't care about any of my businesses. When I stopped paying the money, that's when they started getting nasty. And, that's no reason to get nasty. I think Google as a company has been terrible. And it's not just because they block internet for everyone. They tried that whole game with the YouTube thing to try to block ads and stuff, and it was just a complete disaster. Why is Google so bad? Well, the internet is flooded with low-effort garbage from many, let's say, international SEO farms and affiliate link sites. And they're probably only going to get worse with the advent of generative AI. And so Google is not intelligent enough to figure out real links versus bad links. I mean, they claim they are. Is there a better search engine than Google? Absolutely. I like DuckDuckGo. It's one of the best search engines you can use instead of any leading search engines for privacy. And its main, let's say, aspiration is to give you search privacy. It does not track or collect user data, and it aims to protect users' online privacy. That means a lot to me. When you type something in Google, it comes up based on how many links. But is that really fair that something comes up to the number of links? Because maybe these links are not really true. It doesn't look good for Google. I wish that the company would basically reform, maybe go into some other business. I just feel that the quality of their service is almost like if you go to a diner, right? And the diner's been great for years, but then all of a sudden maybe the diner sells. And now they have this company that buys it, like a corporation. But they run it more like a large mass production place, and they don't run it with the same home cooked recipes. Starts to suck. And so, we know that Google was forced to address the data in a different piece on many subjects, and it caused lots of issues because of SEO, because of what they did with it. It's not the same as it was many years ago. It's filled with many spam links, as it is with genuinely generated results, but it also has links that go to ransomware sites and things like that. Now, they claim they're trying to fix it, but it's growing so fast that Google can't even handle it. And I don't know if you guys know this, most of Google's employees, okay, I don't know if you know this or not, they are mostly, because Google has about 80,000 employees, and it's outside the US. They include employees in Canada, Europe, Asia, and other companies. So do software companies like Google? There is a gentleman who I'm going to quote. He's an engineer at Facebook, and he went on a 3-week recruiting trip to Eastern Europe. And there was a group post, and he says, we use Facebook groups for coordination, looking for volunteers to go on the trip. And he responded and checked with his manager because that's a non-trivial amount of time to take off from a normal job. He had done some U.S. recruiting trips in the past, and they usually look for people who had a bit of experience before going on an extended trip. In general, they have semi-regular trips abroad for recruiting, hackathons, events that need an engineering presence. And if you enjoy interacting with people, you can find a natural way to do this. It's not sprinting to launch a product, for example. It's about managers being pretty supportive of their team. I think that's really good. So if you're at Facebook or a similar company and looking to find international recruiting trips, you can get trained to do interviews, and most trips have an interviewing component. Volunteers go on some smaller trips and get involved with the recruiting part of it. And ideally, you have a tech talk that you can present. Mention that you're interested in this to your manager. Remember that an international trip isn't a vacation, and you'll spend most of the time talking with the candidates and not sightseeing. So I think the big issue is, I think it comes down to the fact that there are some parts that are good, but I think other parts is that they don't treat people well. Does Google treat their employees well? Well, we can only go on surveys and feedback we get. They say Google's renowned for commitment to treating employees well. The company offers a lot of benefits, perks. They have this kind of, free flow environment as we always see on TV and things like that. Google has an on-site medical staff for those working on campus. So if an employee falls or gets ill, they can simply schedule an appointment. I think right now they're in a little bit of a losing battle. They've got to figure out where they're going. I would like to see, and the question is, will Google leave the search market? I think search engines are coming to an end in the way they typically were built. Gartner has predicted by 2026, search engine traffic will drop by 25%. That might sound crazy. They're saying it's going to decline because people are going to become more educated, and they're not just going to be going online searching. They're going to be part of groups. They're going to be part of social media interactions, but it's not just going to be a search. There's going to be more to it than that. So I think that's something very, very important to think about. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a new AI 3D printing robot that creates unique shock absorbers. So what is this all about? This is something that I was really, let's say, curious about. So it's a 3D printing robot. It's an AI, basically 3D printing robot, and it learns to create a shock absorbing shape no human, they claim, could ever do. So it's inside a lab deep in the bowels of Boston University College of Engineering. A robot arm will drop small plastic objects into a box placed perfectly on the floor to catch them as they fall. To do this, the robot will create a small plastic structure with a 3D AI printer, record its shape and size, move it to a flat metal surface, and then crush it with the pressure equivalent to an adult Arabian horse standing on a quarter. So the thing I know you're probably asking me is what, and this is a good question, what is the weight of an adult Arabian horse? Well, it's between 800 and 1,000 pounds. It stands 15 hands tall or 60 inches and weighs between 800 and 1,000 pounds. It has very strong muscular legs that give the Arabian great speed and stamina. And one of its defining features is a small concave head that has big eyes and wide nostrils. And this fact comes to us courtesy of WebMD. So thank you very much for that fact. Really do appreciate that. So I think where we're going is we're trying to use technology to build, and then we're also trying to use technology to stress things so that we can break them. That's new in the tech space. We have never tried to manufacture something and then break it, and then learn from how the machine breaks it and make that part of a process, as opposed to humans breaking it and trying to learn about that. So getting back to Google concerns over Google's search changes. And you might be saying to me, hey, John, why are, restaurants and retailers, that's really what it comes down to, concerned about Google's search changes? Well, in March, Google acknowledged that changes to its search results might drive more traffic to large intermediaries and aggregators, potentially at the expense of direct sales for hotels, airlines, merchants, and restaurants. So that's a problem. And that tells me Google doesn't care about the local business. They just care about their pocket. Lobbying groups representing airlines, hotels, and retailers have urged European Union tech regulators to ensure that Google takes their views into account, and not just large intermediaries, also changes to comply with landmark tech rules. And it's almost like when Google gets kind of put in the corner for doing something wrong, it's almost like they feel like they're going to punish us by taking away what we've already earned, our own merits to come up authentically because they're Google. I am very hard working to move away from Google with a lot of things. And I think we've moved away from them for about 99% of things that we do. We don't use Google anymore. I just feel that they're just a synthetic result, and they don't give me what I want to see as a business owner or even as a consumer. Like I said, it used to be good, but now it's too much of the fact that they're getting contaminated with AI, and they're really not doing the work like it used to be done. Uvalde victims' families sue tech and gun company. Yeah. So what was this all about? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you guys know what happened, but families of the victims of the 2022 elementary school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, filed 2 lawsuits recently against Instagram's parent company, Meta, and Activision, and its parent, Microsoft, and the gun maker. And Daniel, the defense, claiming they cooperate to market dangerous weapons to impressionable teens, such as the Uvalde shooter. So I think right now the big question is, what are we going to do to make these big companies pay? And how are we going to make sure that they never do this kind of stuff again? Because we've already said things are all about money, right? They're all about money. And when you're exploiting money for people's health and lives, I think that's just like below the belt. That's just sick. And, many victims were killed. And you might want to know how many, and this is a good question, how many lost their lives in the Uvalde shooting? Does anybody know? There were lots. It was a mass shooting, and it looks like 19 children and 2 teachers were gunned down behind a barricaded door at the Robb Elementary School on May 24, 2022. That's just sad. Friends and relatives, the days after the Uvalde mass shooting, said, quote unquote, they want everyone to remember about the people they lost. There is a thing I want to read from Irma Garcia, and I quote, Irma Garcia, a teacher at Robb Elementary, was identified as a victim in the mass shooting. CNN confirmed in the days after the shooting through a GoFundMe site set up to raise funds for funeral expenses and family needs. Garcia was a wife and mother to 4 children, according to a GoFundMe campaign set up to raise money for funeral expenses and family needs after the shooting. They said she was sweet, kind, loving, fun with the greatest personality, a wonderful 4th grade teacher at Robb Elementary that was a victim in a Texas school shooting in Uvalde, Texas. She sacrificed herself protecting the kids in her classroom. She was a hero. She was loved by many, will truly be missed. She gave her life so that more kids didn't have to die. Another one, Amiri Joe Garza, 10-year-old. For 7 hours after the mass shooting at Robb Elementary, Angel Garza scrambled to find his 10-year-old daughter. Amiri Joe pleaded for the public's help on Facebook. Quote, I don't ask for much or hardly even post on here, but please, it's been 7 hours and I still haven't heard anything on my love. Garza wrote the day of the shooting, please help me find my daughter. Eventually, Garza gave a heartbreaking update. Thank you, everyone, for your prayers and help trying to find my baby. She's been found. My little love is now flying high with the angels above. Please don't take a second for granted. Hug your family. Tell them you love them. I love you, Mary Jo. Watch over your baby brother for me. So I wasn't crying before this, but if you go to this and you Google it, you will see that this is this is terrible, ladies and gentlemen. It's terrible. I mean, I know 911 was bad and it was really bad, but hearing how these teachers gave their lives, stood in the line of fire to protect many other children so they weren't harmed. And speaking more about emergencies, there is a new 911 response drone by Brinc. This is actually pretty amazing. Brinc unveils this new 911 response drone, and they say it can handle 25% of calls without police officers. The Seattle-based company describes the new drone as the first in the industry designed specifically for drone as first responder operations, commonly known as the DFR, drone first responder. The drone is dubbed Responder, is part of a system that also includes a responder station, houses the drone with the Brinc's Live Ops software. So I think it's good that we have these technologies, but I think it's important that we don't just rely on them solely. We still have to make sure humans are involved. And ladies and gentlemen, FTC complaint against Uber and DoorDash. This is like, when I say pitiful, this is pitiful. A Seattle resident had recently filed an FTC complaint alleging that Uber and DoorDash misled customers with junk fees. The complaint says the $5 fee set by Uber and DoorDash are junk fees, quote unquote. The FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission, last year proposed a rule to ban such fees, described by the agency as hidden and bogus fees that can harm consumers and undercut honest businesses. The complaint also alleges that companies misled consumers by suggesting the fee is mandated by the city of Seattle and that Uber and DoorDash misrepresent the total cost of delivery. If that isn't a crock, I don't know what is. And Mastercard uses AI to detect compromised cards. So Mastercard said recently that it would start using this AI technology to be able to discover that your credit or debit card number has been compromised well before it ends up in the hands of a cyber criminal. So I think it's good, but I think we have to realize that we can't just trust things for face value, right? We have to do our own stuff. And I think a lot of people think it's good that they're doing this, but I also think we can't just, let it go to the wind. We have to make sure that we babysit it. They're hoping that the new system will be able to see patterns in stolen cards faster and allow banks to replace them before they are used by any criminals. So definitely a good idea, but I think it's not the be-all, end-all. We have to still have the human element in there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are an iPhone user, iPhone users eligible for settlement over audio issues. So what is all this about, ladies and gentlemen? Well, this is a really cool one. So some iPhone users eligible for a $349 in lawsuit settlement payout over audio issues. Some iPhone 7, iPhone 7 Plus owners may be eligible for the payout, as I mentioned, as part of a $35 million settlement. And this would be people that roughly bought their phone between September 16th, 2016 and January 3rd, 2023. So the biggest issue everyone keeps asking me, because this just happened recently, is how do you file a claim for the thing? Well, basically you can basically look at the settlement now. That they have some other settlements out there. They have something called the Settlement Administration. It's smartphoneaudiosettlement.com. Again, that is smartphoneaudiosettlement.com. So again, if you own an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 7 Plus in the United States at any point between September 16th and January 3rd and experience audio issues with your device, you should read this notice, as it may impact your legal rights. So the settlement has been reached. You could get some money back from this deal. So again, I think it's important that we're starting to make technology companies responsible, but it's not enough for just one thing. We have to keep being vigilant about what's out there. That is probably the most important thing I can tell you. And it's very, very, very important. And I know you're probably saying to me, John, people are out there, FTC's out there. Yeah, they're out there, but you as the people have to be the eyes so people can literally see what's going on. See, the FTC responds to your complaints. If you don't complain and they don't discover anything, nothing ever gets done. Same thing with Google. Google has been getting in a lot of trouble. And people say this to me every day. John, will Google get in more trouble? And they're going down. Alphabet shed more than $70 billion from its market value. Problems with their AI tools could fuel the perception that Google is now becoming an unreliable source for AI and creating an opening for competitors. And this was just announced February 26, 2024. So I think Google's guilty of what Amazon's becoming guilty of, but Amazon's a little more smart in the fact that they see they're going down and they drop off things and then they fix things, where Google just keeps going and going and going because, we're Google. We could do whatever we want. I've lost my respect for Google. I used to have a lot of respect for them, but the fact that I can't even get people on the phone, the fact that my content's gotten flagged and it's not even bad, and they allow this other crap to go through, I have lost all respect for Google. And I try to do as little as possible as I can with them. Yes, we try to get some pages to rank, but at the end of the day, I don't expect Google to do everything for me. Unfortunately, they have just become a very, self-absorbed company that doesn't care about you. And, does Google care about its customers? Well, if you search it right on Google, says right here, Google is famous for basically just ignoring customers, or more accurately, ignoring users, since users are not customers. Customers are those spending money posting ads on search. Frankly, even they get customer support that happens to be bad, but they still get at least some support. And it's just not a priority for Google. So it's not exactly a shock to discover employees optimized to make other employees happy measured versus keeping users happy is not measured. They don't care about user experience. They care about who's paying money. There are people that are enterprise customers of Google Cloud, and there is a mix between Google Cloud and Microsoft Azure. Azure is not a great product, and they really want you as a customer, and they'll do almost anything to get you on board. They promise you the sun, the moon, the stars, and then they're just terrible. And then when you hear responses from Google, it's like, sorry to hear about your experience this far. I'm actually on the such and such team. They have a whole team. I'd like to chat with you. It's just, you're not a big customer to Google. One other guy said he worked for a company that spent billions of dollars on Google ads in the last decade. It doesn't seem like we're a big customer either. Sorry to break it to you. If you're not a big customer to Google either, let's assume that billions and actually 99 billion, so roughly 10 billion a year. This is roughly 4% of their income in a year. Big customers are at least double digits of their income. I'm even sure if you had millions of money in support fees, they still won't care about you. You have to pay more, get a dedicated account team, and let them manage issues internally. Another one says that's not even in the right ballpark for them to notice one way or another. Google brought in around $284 billion in 2022. Big customers, at least double digits. So for Google, one needs to spend at least $30 billion a year to be considered a big customer to them. They don't seem to care about their corporate customers either. Corporate Gmail spam filtering is fundamentally broken, and no one seems to be able to do anything about it. So the question is, will Google eventually implode? I think so. I think eventually the infrastructure is just going to become too much for them, and the whole organization is going to be like Jurassic Park, where they get some bad employees and something happens, and before you know it, you have all these dinosaurs and all these things just popping all the place that eventually they just have to go out of business. That's what I think is eventually going to happen with them unless they get bought out. And Sony Music challenges tech giants on song usage. This is a real interesting conundrum. Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI are demanding to know if they have used its songs to develop artificial intelligence systems. So this is Sony. Sony Music, which represents artists like Beyonce and Adele, is forbidding anyone from training, developing, or making money from AI using its songs without permission. And we all know that Google just gets around everything because they just sort of do that. But I really have lost my respect for Google. And I'm not trying to clout your view, but just see what they do for you. Do they do anything, or do they just promise you the sun, the moon, the stars? So the question people are asking is, and if you go to like, DuckDuckGo, which I use a lot, will Google ever go out of business? And it's interesting because Google is rethinking its most iconic and lucrative products by adding new AI features in the searches. One expert had told someone that it's a change in the world order. Google search is about to fundamentally change for better or worse. We all know it's probably for worse. And Google doesn't really want to do things with as much manual technology. They want to use all this AI technology, but they don't care who they hurt or who they step on. Google, they claim, will never be the same again. They updated their algorithm. And over the last 2 years, a series of updates to Google search amounted to dramatic upheaval to the internet's most powerful tool, complete with an unprecedented AI feature. Will Google save the web or destroy it? If you type something like air purifiers reviews, you're probably looking for the kind of content you'll find on a review site. But the thing is, Google is now finding stuff that's not authentic. So the second algorithm update came in March, and it was more punishing. Thousands of daily visitors dwindled to just hundreds, and it's just crushing what's going on. Google stands firm in its position that the change will be a benefit to the web. But, even when I went to Google's conferences, I got to tell you, it was just all about we're Google this and we're Google that. I have had our clients switch to DuckDuckGo. I think DuckDuckGo is a better experience. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, Google doesn't care about you. So if a company doesn't care about you, why should you care about them? And why should you even use their product? So if we all start to slowly move away from them, maybe they'll get the hint that it's time to turn off Google search and step over and let DuckDuck go, because DuckDuckGo is based on integrity from everything I see. They even tried to put DuckDuckGo out of business because they were paying mobile providers, computer OEMs, to actually default their search engines to Google. I mean, how bad is that? Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am by now. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always such a privilege and pleasure to be with you here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show. This is our last episode in June, in May. The first episode in June will be next week, June 7th. And I got to tell you, if you're looking to be a guest on JMOR Tech Talk, please definitely check out our channel, the JMOR Tech Talk show. You can find that very easily. You can just go to Google. You can also go to our believemeachieve.com page and find it. We also have the JMOR Connection page, which doesn't have the shows. It has some other shorts and other great video, but it's the JMOR Tech Talk show where you'll find replays of all this stuff. Thank you so much for watching, for making the choice to tune to me for all this great information. And if you can't tune in for the video, well, then catch it on the audio, which launches 24 hours later on our podcast version. Have yourself a great rest of your weekend. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, don't get buffaloed by companies. Just because they have a lot of money doesn't mean they're very good. It just means they might be good at buying a spot in your brain. It's up to you to decide, do they have the tools to solve your problem, or are they just manipulating your brain to making you believe they can help you? You be the judge. Have yourself a great rest of your night and rest of your weekend.